Alrighty boys, welcome back to another video. Now in today's video, I actually wanted to talk about what is going through my head during rounds. Now there's a couple things that I need to quickly say before the rest of this clip goes on, so I'm going to go ahead and pause here. So I want to start this video by talking about the possibilities of like what the default push can be. So the first possibility that I want to talk about is actually a rush push. So typically this will be for bunker, where people will rush with shields, specifically like Blitz, Blackbeard. They're going to try to like flood in. Maybe they have like a backstairs walk down play. And that's typically like the main idea. But the main idea is to basically rush to take elbow before anybody's able to react. Very, very standard play. All you do to counter this is basically just bring more people to bunker and basically support the warden. Very simple for the most part to counter that first approach, because all you have to do is simply be ready for it and you'll be able to counter it pretty easily, in my opinion at least. Now the next push, and I feel like this is probably the more common push that people do, especially in high champ lobbies, like if you ever play against like some triple digit players, some top 1000 players, what they'll do is they'll actually do a meeting hatch drop play with backstairs walk down, maybe some people ratting outside of bunker, and typically they're going to bring like Grim or Ying or like some kind of operator that can clear out the space for pillar. Probably the favorite operator right now for dropping for pillar right now is probably Grim or Ying. Specifically Ying shotgun, because when you drop the hatch, you can basically swing for the bunker doorway when you drop, and you have that shotgun that really nice. You guys know like Legion shotgun, it's the same shotgun. You have that shotgun basically, and you just slaughter people. And basically what ends up happening is you have somebody lurk on your backstairs. It doesn't really matter what the operator is that lurks backstairs. You could, and I think the best operator that you can do for backstairs is actually like a shield operator. Recently I've actually been experimenting with Glass. I think Glass is actually really strong for backstairs walk down as well, because you can just smoke the staircase out and there's not really a way for them to contest it from the head holes that you make on the soft wall. Typically, the enemy team will also run like a Flores outside of bunker. They're going to get rid of the shield for elbow, and they're going to basically sit outside of the bunker double door and just hold like cross basically through the head holes for sight. And they're going to basically make sure that nobody, like specifically the warden that sits elbow or like the shotgun player that sits elbow, doesn't swing while people are dropping the hatch basically. So this one's really difficult to counter if you don't bring very specific operators to counter it. So essentially, if the enemy team is doing like a Grim drop, basically, you're going to need to run mute jammers for pillar. You need some for tarps. You need some for icon, which is basically the sight doorway in front of the meeting hatch drop, basically. So you need to run mute in particular. I think there is a world where you could actually run vigil inside of sight to play pillar, and then when the Grim bees out everything, you're just sitting on pillar inside of his bees, so you get free kills. Or maybe you're sitting on icon and you're just tanking or sitting with your gadget ability on and just basically invisible to the bees. I think there is some kind of like play you could do there too, in case the enemy team bans mute when you guys are going downstairs, so keep that in mind. But typically the way to counter this is to specifically have operators that are already ready to go to counter that strategy. Now the Ying strat in particular I think is a little bit more difficult to counter, but basically what you need to do for the Ying play in particular is that the Ying can't actually like Ying out everything, drop, and then be like perfectly safe, if that makes sense, because there's going to be like a brief window where she's dropping the hatch where she can't toss her Ying Candelas down and like have everyone just being flashed. So what you can actually do is you can sit highway double door typically, or sometimes you can swing from icon as well, and basically you swing the hatch drop basically once the Ying Candelas fade out, basically. Like once you're like not flash anymore, you can swing highway. Sometimes you can swing icon to kill the Ying. There's a lot of different options that you can take, but I think highway is probably the most consistent. This is the highway is basically the double door on screen right here, the hallway where my Melusi is basically. You sit there and you wait for the Candelas to go away, and then you swing that to kill anybody dropping. And then with the Flores, like as long as the meeting hatch push doesn't work out, like the drop doesn't work out, the backstairs walk down doesn't work out, you're pretty much winning the round from that point onwards, as long as you can deny that in particular. Like I said, this is the most common approach that people in high champion elo have for this bomb site in particular is the meeting hatch Grim Ying combo, and then they drop the hatches, and then they pretty much try to take pillar, go for a default plant, and it's all GG's. If they can get onto pillar, you might as well assume the round is over, because you're going to need some kind of like crazy hero play to basically win the round from that point onwards. Basically, you're going to need some crazy nitros or just something. Like maybe somebody walks through highway again and just gets the kills. I don't know. You're gonna need something. You're gonna need a miracle basically if you let them walk down backstairs. You let them drop meeting hatch and then make a play for pillar and like they're all ready to go for execute. You're gonna need a miracle to win from that position onwards. Now the third most common push, or the most common default push, I guess, for this map, and typically you won't see this one that often. Now you might see this a lot more in like lower ranked elo, because people don't really like know what they're doing typically when they're doing this like downstairs bomb site attack in particular. Is you're gonna see a laundry freezer push, and occasionally, and you'll mostly see this in like a high champ lobbies, is you'll see people opening up the meeting hatch as well to look for somebody dropping down the meeting hatch. And it's the same concept again. It's like they might have somebody lurking bunker, they might have somebody lurking backstairs. There's a lot of different options basically, and that's what you just need to have in your head. The way to counter these is for freezer and laundry, you need somebody highway. Okay, you must have someone highway playing for the freezer head holes. You must have somebody ready to go to swing for laundry if they go down the staircase and try to look for like a walk-in basically. You need somebody on highway no matter what. The other things you need is you need like laundry rotate. You need someone to play around the closet area. If you have Mira, you're in pretty good shape because you can just sit on your Mira. Laundry main Miras are basically like the way to go. You do like laundry for the closet Mira basically, and then you do the freezer Mira on the left side of the wall, and you basically play it like that, and it's usually pretty GG's for like a freezer main push. Typically, if a team is going to be going for a laundry freezer push, though, they're probably going to ban Mira, or they're going to bring operators to get rid of the Miras. And basically, this type of push in particular is mostly like a gunfight heavy push. There are some teams, and I'm saying like some as in like probably like less than 10, I want to say, that do like a really, really fancy push where they use like sense, and they use, you know what I mean, they use like all the weird operators to like push into laundry and look for like some kind of default plant. There's like probably a handful of teams that actually do that on this game, but typically in lower rank elo, you're gonna just see people doing like a force push through laundry or a force push through freezer, where you just try to walk up and look for gunfights. This one I feel like people usually won't do unless the meeting hatch like grim push like just simply won't work. Basically, you won't really see this push that much. You'll probably see it a lot more in like lower rank lobbies, because people in lower rank lobbies don't really like coordinate, you know what I mean? So they're gonna have a higher likelihood of somebody walking down freezer and trying to make some kind of hero play, or walking down laundry stairs looking for like a hero play. Most of the time, if an enemy team is doing this push, they're just gonna be looking for frags when they go for it. They're not gonna have like a super fancy, like, you know what I mean, sense, smokes, gridlock, you know what I mean? I don't even know, honestly. But like, you know what I mean? They're not gonna do like a super crazy push unless you're playing like a tournament or something. This one's a little bit harder to counter, more so than like the meeting hatch one, because like I said, it's very gunfight heavy. So the easiest way to counter it would obviously be like bringing the Mira and then just like using the Miras to counter it. But a lot of the times people will bring operators to counter that in particular. So if the enemy team is bringing stuff to counter it, you're going to need to have someone highway that plays for like the freezer head holes, and you're going to want that highway guy to be also open to swinging for laundry as well. And then obviously you're going to want to play around like the closet area, and it's pretty much just like a frag heavy like environment basically, and you're just going to mostly have to win your gunfights. Alright, so that pretty much covers the three like major possibilities of like default pushes for this bomb site in particular. Now, I'm going to be honest, guys, if the enemy team is doing like something weird where they're doing like bunker with like backstairs, and then they're having someone lurk for laundry, having someone lurk for freezer, I'm going to be honest, guys, like You know what I mean? You should be winning that. I'm gonna be honest. Like, it's not like if they're not coordinating a push, like, it should be free real estate, in my opinion. Okay, so that's pretty much gonna be like what I'm thinking about whenever I'm walking into a Oregon basement round. Basically, that's gonna be what I'm thinking about before the round starts or during the round. That's gonna be like what I'm watching out for in particular. Now, typically for this bomb site, I will try to get the meeting hatch. I'll try to get the freezer hatch. Honestly, laundry hatch doesn't really matter that much. I honestly can't really think of a purpose of the laundry hatch besides just holding it for like after you get like a default plant inside of laundry. But most of the time, there's not really like a crazy fancy play you can do from the laundry hatch getting open. I'm gonna be honest. There might be like some kind of comp team right now that's like watching this and they're like, "What do you mean? You can smoke and then you can plant on the double door and then you're just winning." These guys actually go for like a bunker rush for this round in particular, where they're trying to rush for elbow with blitz. Now, for whatever reason, this blitz ends up running over to my head holes. I actually just toss my nitro right at his face and get myself a free kill. Honestly, kind of scared the crap out of me because I wasn't expecting him to like just not commit to elbow. So I go ahead and just C4 him in the face to get a free kill onto him. And then in this position here, they actually drone me for my freezer head holes here, so they actually make it to freezer here. Like I said, I want to play it for freezer. However, this guy's already very deep, so what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to rotate towards laundry, which is the other position I said that needs to get played if they're doing like a freezer main push. Now, these guys actually didn't do a freezer or a main push here, so I'm actually just going to rotate into laundry here. The Ash does make it towards the freezer doorway, so I'm going to swing aggressively for the head holes here and get myself a free kill for her. And then I'm going to go ahead and pause here again really quick. There's actually one more guy that's actually pushing for freezer in this position, and the other thing I quickly want to mention, guys, is that this push that they're doing right now is one of those pushes that I said is not a default push, basically. It's like a mix, right, where it's like a freezer walk down and then bunker rush, but like I said, they didn't commit to bunker, they didn't get bunker control, they didn't get any of that, you know what I mean, and they didn't bring operators to like really do like a crazy freezer push or anything, or like a backstairs walk down. They didn't do any of that, so in my opinion, this is just one of those pushes that's like, you know what I mean, they're just not really coordinating, they're just going for stuff. So in my opinion, this should just be like a free real estate type of push. Like, we shouldn't be losing this position like ever, basically. Now, to go back into this round, Knock is trying to push freezer, okay? So Knock is trying to push freezer. What I need to do is, since they're not doing like a laundry push whatsoever, I can actually now play inside of laundry where I am right now to look through the freezer head holes to prevent the Knock from basically getting to the freezer doorway in this position. Now, one thing I do want to quickly clarify though is, since I already killed the Ash from the left side of the head holes for freezer when she walked up, the Knock should know that I'm in this position, which means that I cannot just sit on this double door and look through the head holes and assume that I'm going to kill her when she walks through. Because if I just sit there, she's going to swing the head holes. I'm going to be a free kill because she's going to pre-fire the crap out of me. So what I have to do to win in this position is basically either I need one of my other teammates to go highway to play like a cross with me, or the other option, I feel like most other people are going to prefer this option, is I need to do a swing or be swung type of thing here, and I need to basically be on these head holes, but I need to swing while she swings, so that way I get a swing or be swung timing on her, and I'm able to win that gunfight. And then the last guy in this position is actually Monty. He's going to be on bunker. I'm going to just swing aggressively, get myself a free kill, secure the round, and GG's on the spot. Anyway, guys, this was part one of what's going through a champion's head during rounds. Let me know if you want to see part two. Also, if you guys can, please leave me feedback down in the comments. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace!